you know the the main issue that I'm having with everyone being in lockdown is like, there's no news. There's literally no news at all because everyone is just talking about what's going on, like with the pandemic, and that's all anyone can talk about because no one can go out, no one can make any drama in the community. Well, some can. I found a little bit anyway. But it's so hard to find anything else to talk about than the stupid COVID-19. Don't ever say I don't try and give you guys a show. I have tried so hard to find something to talk about that's not related to this. Don't get me wrong. I'm therefore going to dive into a couple of stories about this because so some of the things I'm going to talk about is funny. It's just so hard to find anything more interesting than this or what's going on at the minute because no matter what comes up on the news, it's either because or caused by COVID. So I'm going to try my best. I don't really know how long I'm going to go on for. I've got a little mini album review for you guys, as you know, or as you may know. Shout out to one of my mates, Gio, who told me about this because I didn't actually know. I thought it came out next week, I'm not going to lie. Skepta dropped a collab EP with Young Ads and Chip yesterday. I'm just going to go into that a little bit and we're going to discuss what I think about it. I'm going to give it a rating. I'm going to put that up on the Facebook group as well. I put a bunch of ratings up on the group last night with all the other albums that I discussed. Obviously, I discussed Uzi Vert's album that came out last week. I've discussed Doggy Style. Mad City was on the intro this Wednesday. Go check it out if you've not seen it. But for now, anyway, guys, welcome to CTR. Once again, big podcast, should I say, on a Saturday. My name is Reese. I give my name out on Wednesday. I'm just going to keep doing it now. Why not? People usually just call me Rice because my name is spelled RHYS. So, take that as you will. This is your official isolation station. I'm going to come to you as much as I can today with all the news that I think you're going to get a chuckle out of. First of all, obviously we've been in lockdown. We got all this information off Boris. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. It was a lot of information and more information followed it. But some of the biggest information that we found out yesterday, Boris himself, and it turns out the chief health secretary of this country actually have tested positive for the virus. Which is, I know there's a little bit of irony in that, I suppose. Him sitting on the TV in front of us all saying, stay in your homes, don't shake anyone's hands, don't go out unless you really need to. And then the three top guys who are bringing us all this news have to self-isolate. Irony? Yeah. I don't understand how it's going to work because obviously Boris has been all over this country, all over in Parliament talking about this for weeks now. I'm not sure if you know this, but you can actually not show signs of this virus for 10 days, which means he could have been running around for 10 days passing this on to everyone who he meets. And that's something that we're seriously going to have to think about because if everyone top in this country who's supposed to be coming up with these rules, who's supposed to be enforcing this lockdown, is supposed to be, if it comes to it, maybe bringing in martial law because I see some idiots out there still in the park. If you're one of them, then you're an idiot. Who are still trying to have picnics with the families, people who are not in the house with them. You're an idiot. I don't know who's going to enforce all that. And I saw a funny interview. I just thought it was funny because it was on the news. You see all these people doing interviews from the home, saying, "Oh, I've had to quarantine. I'm self-isolating." You see the little house in the background. So Boris obviously had to put one up this week, and he was just sat in number 11. He's in number 11, not number 10 apparently as well. Separated from his family. So I thought that was a little bit funny that he then eventually even the Prime Minister has to put out a little statement saying, "Hi guys, I've had to self-isolate. I'm not able to govern this country from where I would like to. Instead, I'm in my kitchen." But I wanted to move on quickly from that. I do want to talk about the coronavirus a little bit more. Mainly when it comes to people trying to get out of jail because of this. One of the biggest ones that I've seen is R.Kelly. R.Kelly is moaning in jail that he wants to get out of prison. I'm not sure how long he's actually serving. Is he serving? I think he's serving about 15 years, isn't he? Longer. So he's complaining that he wants to come out of prison because he's scared of the coronavirus. Bill Cosby is also preaching to the same choir, saying, "Oh, I feel you. I agree. I want to get out of the jail because this virus is scary. One of the guards on my row is actually had to self-isolate because of this virus. I want to get out. He's serving like a 3 to 10 year sentence. In my opinion, I'm sorry, these guys, they can stay in rock. Go give them the coronavirus. They're horrible bastards. Bill Cosby, he's seriously turning around and going, help me please, I've got the coronavirus. No, fuck off. You can stay in your little hole wherever you are in prison. Rikers Island, I think he's on. I know Harvey Weinstein is also in prison. I think he's on Rikers Island. He's actually been tested positive for the coronavirus. I think he also wants to serve his sentence from his house. Once again, ridiculous. No? Sorry. Number one, why are these people getting tested for it? Why are these prisoners? Why are we wasting resources on people like Bill Cosby, who is inevitably going to get checked because obviously there was a guard in his area that got tested for it and it came back positive. Why are we wasting resources on a scumbag like that? Why are we wasting resources on a scumbag like Harvey Weinstein, who should be isolating anyway? Put him in a hole, throw away the key, and I don't ever want to hear from that guy ever again. And he's sat there saying, I want to get out because I'm scared of the virus. No. That doesn't work like that. R.Kelly, you're scared of contracting COVID-19. Oh, wow, that is such a shame, dude. That is such a shame. I'm so sorry about that. I tell you what, yeah, you know what, just let him out. Just let him out. I tell you what, we'll set up a studio. We'll let you make a couple more albums and make a bit more money off the fact that you got away for years and years breaking so many disgusting laws, and it all came out, and all of a sudden you were trying to play the victim, and now you're scared. No thanks. No. Doesn't work like that. Don't know how you guys feel about that. I don't know what you guys think about it either. Hopefully you agree with me, because if you give these guys any kind of sympathy, then you need to do some research on these people. But the best one I thought of, a guy who was supposed to be coming out in August anyway, 6ix9INE, the rapper, Snitch9, Takesha Snitch9, is supposed to be being released in August. He's coming up on I think he went to jail. So yeah, he got arrested in 2018, didn't he? And when he eventually went to jail, the judge allowed him to take the time off that he'd already served in his trial, because obviously he didn't have bail or anything. He was in jail. He was snitching to the feds. The judge allowed him to add that time to the time that he'd already served. So like they gave him 2 years, but they said because you've already served, I think it was 18 months, then we can take that off your sentence. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how it works. So 6ix9INE came out, and his lawyers were telling the judge, listen, he's released in August anyway. Yeah, he is released in August. I don't know if you know that. I'll ask a question about 6ix9INE when I'm done with this, by the way. Yeah, so he's released in August, and they're appealing to the judge to let him serve the rest of his sentence from his house on house arrest. The judge has come back and denied that. And a lot of people are angry about this, especially his lawyers and the people, the fanboys of him who are still listening to his music. I don't know how or why. And they're like, well, you're letting other people out who the sentences are coming up. And I'm just sat here thinking, ooh, why is 6ix9INE not allowed that? I mean, I don't like the guy, but just because he's a high value celebrity, he was a high value witness for the feds, I don't know if they're worried about his safety. Maybe that's got to be the only reason I'm thinking of. The judge said his hands are tied, so there must be something else going on there. There must be someone else making that decision on the judge's behalf. But I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it's only 4 months. He's going to be released in August anyway. We'll just let him serve the rest of his sentence on house arrest, or put him in a safe house or something. If you're worried about him getting clipped when he comes out, which by the way, that has got to happen. Someone put a timer on that guy when he gets out of jail. Jesus Christ! Like, how many people? I'll go into this in a later episode of the intro. Maybe the intro, or I might even start up a new series and look at actual rappers' careers. I'm thinking of doing that anyway. But that's going to be one of the main people that I want to talk about, because the amount of people that he screwed over, the amount of shit that he got into, the amount of beefs that he had before he went in jail, before all the shit went down, is absolutely insane. And I don't know how he's going to last 5 minutes on the streets, because you've got to think, when he gets out of jail, he's no longer going to have the protection of the feds, surely. I mean, you know, he's given all the information that makes him important to them, that makes him useful to them. I don't understand why they would carried on protecting his ass. And no one's gonna roll with him. No one is gonna want to touch that guy, because he's burnt. He burnt himself. Like, he cut all ties with everyone who ever had his back. For me, he might as well have gone to jail, because as soon as he's going to get out, he's going to go down. That's the only way that I see it happening. And don't get me wrong, as much that I don't really agree with how it all went down. I think there's a bigger story in terms of, he wasn't just a snitch. He wasn't really. He didn't really have a choice. I mean, I'll put it this way: if you turn around to me and go, Reese, you're this age. I'm going to put myself in 6IXNINE's age. I think at the time he was 21. He was like, you either tell us what you know, or you don't get out of jail till you're 65. I don't know. I think a lot of people say, nah, I wouldn't. But at the same time, come on, you got to think maybe it might be a question to ask yourself. Would you really stay silent for people who actually, like, if you look in terms of what happened to him, like, just before he went to jail, he got kidnapped by his mates, so he's got all his money stolen. It turns out they were robbing him anyway. Apparently he was earning $250,000 per show, and he was only getting 80 grand for it, so they were taking all the money off him anyway. You got to think, yeah, he was in the Treyway 9 Bloods or something they were called. Yeah, he literally just he sold them all out, which, in terms of loyalty, obviously, it's not exactly the best thing to do. But on the other side, they did him first. So who is he really snitching on? People who would see him dead. People would see him used just as a valuable commodity in terms of just revenue that is bringing into the 9 Treyways. It doesn't. The 9 Trey Bloods, that's what they were called. It was on the edge of my tongue this whole time. The 9 Trey Bloods. The 9 Trey Bloods were literally just using him as a money bags, because he was bringing in all the money, he was bringing in all the revenue from it on a legitimate side, and they capitalized on it, and they used him. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a grey area, isn't it? Just because you got to put yourself in that position of a 21-year-old guy who was bigged up loads by them guys and make him feel like a badass, to get him into that gang lifestyle, just so they could use him, in my opinion. If you do your research on it, I'm gonna bring all this research to, as I say, to a series that I'm thinking of starting next month. He's not. I don't think he's probably gonna be my first subject, but I'm definitely gonna bring you him at some point, maybe this year. I think if I show some more evidence of what he actually went through and what actually happened, then maybe you guys will understand what I'm talking about a little bit more. But yeah, long story short, he's been denied serving the rest of his sentence at home. Which, I don't know, it's a bit harsh, as I say. But moving on, apparently Oprah has been tested positive for corona as well. She's also self-isolating, and she's not exactly young either. I was talking about this before. She's not exactly young, so that's a little bit worrying, I suppose. It's crazy. Some information recently came out this morning. Apparently, an extra 124,000 people in the UK have been tested, and out of those 124k, 17,000 people have tested positive for it, which doesn't sound like a big number in terms of how many people were tested. But when you think about it, how many people have those 17,000 people been in contact with? How many surfaces have those guys been touching? They've been breathing everywhere. Obviously, as you know, the virus can survive for up to 4 days on certain surfaces. You've got to think about things like that. So it's 17,000 people, but how many thousands of other people have come into contact with where they've been? You know, they've just been passing them on the streets. It's quite scary when you think about it, because let's say 124,000 people. Let's say they, you know, tested 164,000 people, and you got the same result. 17,000 more people came out with it. You know what I mean? This is where I'm coming from. So say, let's just round it up to, let's round it down. Let's round it down to 15,000 people. So say if there's 15,000 people, and then you double at it because you double in the pool, that's 30,000 people. And you can't test everyone in the country, so you've got to think the number's a lot higher than that. What we do know is, it's jumped over 1,000 people now that have died from this virus, and not all of those people are old people with pre-existing conditions, which is a common misconception at the moment. What people are all thinking, that people are thinking it's just affecting old people, and it's just affecting people who have, you know, pre-existing positions. What the hell am I fucking on? Conditions, Reese. It's conditions. Can you please say the word properly? Pre-existing conditions. It's a bit more complicated than that, I suppose, because obviously it's like more long-term effects when it comes to people, you know, that it affects also, because you got to think these people are taking up beds in the ICU. These people are taking up ventilators. These people are using resources that people normally would need for other conditions that have existed, you know, far before this. You got to think of the amount of people that's going to affect as well, and that's where it does get scary, because obviously, going back to the whole 17,000 people, it's in the long run, and I think we're going to start to see this. As I say, the quarantine's lasting for 3 or 4 months, but I think as this goes on a little bit longer, we're going to start to see maybe the long-term effects of how this is going to, how our country is going to cope with this, especially the NHS. And big shout out to the NHS, by the way. Big shout out to the NHS. They're putting themselves on the line every single day. We had I mentioned this on the podcast on Wednesday. We were having a big clap for him, I think it was, on Thursday. You should have seen all the fireworks and everything that was going on. It was crazy. I think it was a good idea. I joined in, but what I said on the Wednesday was what would really help, and I think everyone should do, including the people that are listening to me right now. Go on the message boards. Go on people who you know that work in you know frontline jobs, people who are putting themselves on the line, and just say thank you. Just reach out to them to say thank you. I mean, clapping's all well and good, and it shows how we're coming together as a country, how we're coming together as one big happy family for now, and showing our respect for the people who are doing this for us. But I think maybe reaching out to people personally who you know, I think does an even better job, because it's more personal and it's more, you know, it's just nicer, you know, to actually, you know, open your phone and see a message of someone who you know, and, you know, it says, you know, thank you for what you're doing, thank you for all the support, thank you for being out there when all of us can't be, thank you for putting yourself at risk for us, which is nice. But I digress. I want to get to, as I say, I want to get to a small album review. Skepta brought out a album today. It was a collaboration album. It was Skepta, it was Chip, and it was Young Ads obviously from D Block Europe. You know, if you know who D Block Europe is, you know they're killing it right now. Especially last year, I think 2019 was a pretty big year for D Block Europe. They sort of broke the barrier. You've got like a bit of like a barrier, like in terms of like the grime scene and the rap scene in the UK, and it sort of hangs around this whole country. And then once you break through that, like a lot of big people have, like Stormzy, you've got your Dizzy Rascals, you've got your Wileys, you've got your people. I mean, even to an extent, you got Dave. Dave is recently broke into the American scene. Quite a lot of people who were, for example, Sway in the Morning. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's really big on Dave, and he's been talking non-stop about Dave since about January. So fair play to him. But yeah, but once you break that barrier in the UK, once you get past that, then those type of rappers really, really show how good they are, I suppose. If you want my opinion on D Block Europe, I'm not the biggest fan of them, I'm not going to lie. I do think they have had some good tunes. The one thing that annoys me about D Block Europe is, and it shows in this album as well, and it's, oh god, it really drives me crazy, and it it really bothers me, and it just takes my mind off the music, and all I can focus on is Young Ad's auto-tune on his voice is just ridiculous. It's the most distracting thing I could probably point out on this album. Not just this album, but I'd say probably like most of his work when he puts when he puts out a track with D Block Europe. I don't think I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't know how else I can say it. It's very annoying. Some people can pull it off. Let's say, for example, you've got your Kanye West, and as controversial as he is, he can pull off auto-tune. You've got Quavo from Migos. He pulls it off quite well. There's certain T-Pain, another one. There's certain people who the auto-tune really works for, and then there's certain people that it just sounds really annoying. Like Notes, for example. Notes does it okay, and then on some songs it's like, wow, tone it down a little bit. Do you know what I mean? But just to quickly go over this album, it came out yesterday, the 27th of March. It has 12 songs on it, but however, it only just goes over 35 minutes. It goes 35 minutes and 31 seconds exactly. It's I'm just like I'm not creating any dead air. I'm just like I'm thinking about what I'm going to say about this album before I actually go on a rant about it. For me, Skepta Skepta's not really been on the top of his game for a good few years now. Not to say that he's not, he's Skepta. He's always going to be Skepta too. He's like, especially to the UK, he's always going to be Skepta, the guy who pretty much put grime on the map, along with a couple of other guys that I'm going to mention a little bit later. But for me, this album is so I won't say lazy, but it's subpar effort from these guys. As I say, it is a collaboration album, and I was surprised to see Chip's name on it. If you don't know who Chip is Chipmunk, the guy who came out about 10 years ago. He was called Chipmunk. My name's Chip Diddy Chip. I don't tolerate no lip. Diddy lip. That guy. And it's, to be fair play to Chip. It was strange to hear him after a good few years. Obviously, I've been loosely keeping track of what he's been up to. Like, he jumped to America for a couple of years and he came back here. It's good to see how far he's come in terms of rapping, because when he first came out, he was really annoying. Like, that's the only way I can describe to it. Just monotonous. Just his voice, just subpar. Especially on, I don't know if you remember a song, it was way back in the day now. I want to say 2009. Do you remember Game Over? You had Tinchy Strider on there. You had Tiny Temper. Pretty much all the big guys of that era. You had Tiny Temper. You had Devlin. You had Example on there. I mean, fair play to Example. Then you had Chipmunk on there, and his verse by far was the worst. I Am Chipmunk, not a massive fan of the album. Diamond Rings was okay, that song that he had. But the songs that jumped into the charts, like Chip Diddy Chip, you had Upsy Daisy. Nah. I sort of lost touch with Chip, as I say. I kind of know what he's been up to for the past couple of years. I know he's been to America. I know he's been back here collaborating with other people. He's currently got over 1 million listeners, monthly listeners on Spotify. So fair play to Chip, I suppose. But for me, all of these songs are way too short. They don't give me the I will come back and listen to this again album sort of vibe. It's just really mediocre. I think the longest song on this is like 3 minutes 50. And as I say, with an album that only brushes over 35 minutes, you can expect what you're going to get from this album. The same when it comes to the verses on it. You're not going to get much out of the verses because the songs are so short. Like, you get about 30 seconds of each rapper, putting their 2 cents into the song. For me, there's 2 songs that if I was to go back and listen to this again, there's 2 songs that I would enjoy listening to again. One of them is called Ways, and then another one is called, I am just looking at the album now, Demons. Shout out to MIA Paper Planes. They sampled I believe it was the chorus from that song on that that Paper Planes, All I Wanna Do, bang bang bang. Yeah, that one. They sampled the chorus off that album for the background of this song in their chorus. I was like, fair play. It was as I say, it's probably the best song on the album, that and Ways. But apart from that, I wouldn't. For me, if you're a Skepta fan, go and listen to it. If you're a Chip fan, go listen to it. If you're a D Block Europe fan, go listen to it. But don't expect much. I didn't really expect much out of it, to be quite honest with you. I thought, well, when I first heard about it, I was, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, a Skepta joint, a Skepta project. I'm definitely gonna go check it out. But I was really disappointed by it, and I thought it could have been better. I think it should have been better, and I'm not. And for me, I don't want to be too harsh on the rating, I suppose. But I'll put it to you this way. This album was going through, obviously, I was leaving it on play. And if you have Spotify, I don't know if Apple Music does the same thing. But if you have Spotify, you'll know that once an album is done, it'll skip to like a different song from that artist. And after this album finished, I Spy. Do you remember that old school joint by Skepta came on? I think it was like 2007 that it came out. And I was like, oh no, this is like a palate cleanser. Jesus Christ, thank God this came on, because I was losing faith in Skepta listening to this album. I thought it was awful. It is awful. It just is. I feel like I'm really hating on it, but it's just, I really expected more from it, especially when I saw that a couple, like, cause as I say, one of my mates, Gio, she recommended or told me that it came out. I'm not sure if she's actually listened to it herself, but once she told me about it, I went online, and a couple of people were saying, "Oh, Skepta's dropped a new album." I was like, "Oh, okay, it's got a little bit of hype behind it," but no. Rating 4.5, and that's me being generous. That's me being generous because it's Skepta, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because Skepta, obviously, his best years have passed him in terms of his music. And the quality of his music. I mean, I put it to this way, like, the only thing I know about Skepta, like, the most biggest thing lately, that I don't even know if he's still going out with Adele. That's like the biggest thing that I know about Skepta lately. But yeah, 4.5, and as I say, that is me being generous. If it was in a bad mood, if it wasn't Skepta, and Young Ads and Chip was just on this album by themselves, I think I would have given it a 3. Probably lower. Because it's I was waiting to get through it, and that's not how an album should make you feel. An album shouldn't make you feel, God, I can't wait to the next song, because then it's one closer to it being over. That's the exact opposite of how an album should make you feel. And that is exactly how I felt. Also, just a little thing, probably not Skepta's fault, or any of those guys' fault. SK1, I believe it's their record label. SK1? Or something like that. But anyway, yeah, I think it's Skepta's record label. They actually put the album on Spotify backwards. So the intro is at the end of the album. If you look at it on Spotify, then the intro is at the end and the last song is at the beginning. And I only noticed that because the last song that actually plays on the album, I was like, 1 minute long, and it's called Intro. At first I thought, Shoutouts, he might have been listening to my series. No, I didn't. But I was like, okay, this is weird. It's like 1 minute 10. And then the album just ends. I was like, oh, okay. So obviously then, I clicked off it, and like I looked all through it, and I was like, they must have put it on the wrong way, which is so weird. Just come to the end now. Just want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of albums that I've listened to recently that have come out this month. I want to give a shout out to The Weeknd for dropping his deluxe, also Mac Miller for dropping his deluxe that came out recently. The Weeknd's is called After Hours, Mac Miller's is called Circles. Mac Miller, go listen to his posthumous album. I really do think all of his work that's come out since he passed away, sadly, it has been pretty decent, to be honest. I really liked, I think it was called Blue World or something, that he brought out with that guy from Disclosure recently. Also, The Weeknd's After Hours, that's the one with Blinding Lights on it. I don't need to say any more than that. You know what The Weeknd's like. He's been around for years. Go check him out. I think he's really done a good job. He's really come so far since... Was it I Can't Feel My Face, that video where he set himself on fire? Like, that's why I first saw him. I remember him being in that Drake song way back when. He sort of just solidified himself in the game himself. Joyner Lucas as well, also yesterday. It wasn't just Skepta that dropped an album yesterday. It was Joyner Lucas that dropped an album, ADHD. We've been waiting on this for a while. That's one with I Love. That's a really good song. It's also got a song called Will on there. He pays homage to Will Smith. There's a video on YouTube where he's doing all the impressions of, like, you got the Fresh Prince, you got the Men in Black, you've got pretty much all the joints that Will Smith used to do. Will Smith actually called him responding to it saying, I'm honoured that you'd show me some love like that. And Johnny was like, yeah, obviously, of course, you're a legend. Let's meet up after this whole coronavirus is, blowing over and all that. So, fair play to Johnny Lucas. I really like Johnny Lucas. A lot of people really like Johnny Lucas. He's been described as your rapper's favourite rapper, which doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Obviously, you've got Eminem, always calls him out. He was on a couple of Eminem joints on Kamikaze. I believe he might be on one on Music to be Murdered to or by. I can't remember what the name of the album is. I think he might be on that. If he's not, then correct me. But yeah, Johnny Lucas, go show him some love. He's probably one of the best young guys in the rap game at the minute. Definitely 100%. A lot of people have fell off on Johnny. I'm seeing quite a lot of hate on Johnny Lucas. Like more hate than I used to see. People used to love him. Everyone used to love him, and now I'm seeing people who are like sort of turning on him, if that's the right word to say. But I don't know about that. I've always liked him ever since someone showed me showed me his work, show me who, because he had that beef with Logic ages ago, and that's when I first remember hearing about him. And then it was one of my mates who showed me a lot of his work, and I fell in love with his music and I fell in love with his style. So definitely go check it out. I've already listened to it. It's really good. It's far better than the Skepta one anyway. I'll be giving all of them albums ratings as well. I'm probably not going to cover them on the intro. As I say, I'm going to show them a bit of love now, and I'll show them a bit of attention in the group chat. I'll give them a rating. Go and listen to them yourself. Obviously, my ratings aren't gospel, and I've only just started doing it, so I'm just still trying to work out the kinks in the rating system. Exactly why this gets like a 9 or an 8.5. But go check them out yourself, and then if you agree with me, have a look at my ratings and see what you think as well. Lastly, I did say on Wednesday on the episode 2 of the intro, I was going to reveal what episode 3 is going to be. I also said I was going to switch up the genre a little bit, as if you have seen that episode, I said it was going to be pop punk, and I'm still going to reveal it today. What I'm going to do next week is I can't wait to do it. As I say, all this research that I like doing is amazing, and I cannot wait to cover this album. This album is, drumroll please. Oh yeah, I don't have a sound guy. I forgot about that. It's 3 Cheers to Sweet Revenge by My Chemical Romance. One of the best, guys. One of the best pop punk albums of all time. Maybe one of the best albums of the 2010s. I know a lot of you might be excited that I'm going to be doing that. I know once I put that in the group chat and on Instagram, a lot of people are going to be excited that I'm covering that, because it's a totally different change in genre. It's a totally different direction that I'm going to be taking the intro into. I'm gonna do this every couple of weeks. I'm going to change the genre. Obviously, I'm going to come back to hip hop at some point. I'll do a couple of pop punk ones. But I'm just going to see how it goes. If you like it, show the love. If you don't, let me know, and I'll change the genre again. I have been asked to do a couple of albums in the next coming months, so I'm definitely going to fit them into some time slots. Defo watch this space. Defo keep an eye out for that. Lastly, guys, go and join the group on Facebook, Chart Topper Radio. You know what it is, CTR, #CTR, your official isolation station for, well, as long as it's going to be, and even after, will be your un-isolation station, I suppose. I don't know. Fuck's sake. Yeah, go follow the group on Facebook. Go on the Instagram page, like the pictures, follow me, follow the actual page on Instagram. Chart Topper Radio is the same thing. Go like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just show me love in any way you can, guys. And last of all, I did mention, obviously, I had a couple of albums that have been suggested to me for the intro, and that's not anything like exclusive or anything. Like if you want to, if you want to send me a message with any albums that you might want to hear, any albums that you might want to see in the next couple of months, I'll definitely put them forward, and I'll definitely consider it 100%, because after all, I do this for me, but I also do this for people who love listening to music, and I do this for people who love listening to me chat shit for ages. But yeah, 100%, send me your ideas. I don't mind doing it. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. Stay safe, guys. I really hope this pandemic passes and we can all go out and, you know, start drinking again, I am really missing the pub. I can't believe it's been, oh God, it's been like a week since I was able to go out, which is shit. It's just, you know, it's just work and then home, work and then home. No one likes doing that. But yeah, stay safe, guys. Love y'all. Isolation Station on point, baby. I will always be here for you. Watch this space. Tune in on Wednesday for 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Goodbye.